tomorrow is the Veterans Day, so before we get into our service, I was wondering, do we have any veterans with us this morning? Do we have any veterans? Please stand. Now, it probably makes you uncomfortable. Where'd you serve?
What?
Where'd you serve?
Europe.
Europe.
Airport.
John.
I was in the Army, in the 80s, and I also served in the...
We would love to thank you for your service. Let's go. Always make sure that you appreciate our veterans and our active servicemen. At my nephew's wedding in Georgia yesterday, and I told Brandon when I got home I was impressed with the young men. Some of them have only been in there a year, some of them have been in there a couple of months and are still going through their training. And I asked my brother-in-law, Ralph, you know, did you have a wild time at your house with all the boys last night? And he said, no, actually, they spent the majority of the evening with two rulers and their dress uniforms, making sure every pin was perfect, because it was a special occasion. And the wind's blowing and it's cold and the girls are freezing down there, and those boys that were standing up front are standing there at perfect attention, not moving a muscle. I thought, it's nice to know that there are still some folks of character who are willing to serve. Amen. So make sure you thank them and appreciate them. And then it's been a good week, because Moxie's finally here. Haley did all the heavy lifting. We've waited for this day for a long time. We're glad to see her, keep the family in prayers. We are going to be in Hosea chapter 7. The beginning of the week, knowing that it was Veterans Day, I almost stopped and did a Veterans Day type of a message. But then I couldn't help myself, because Hosea is fighting a fight of his own. He is fighting moral decay in his country, and he is watching his country go to pieces around him. And at least he's doing everything he can to stop it, right? I mean, God asked him to go to some pretty great lengths. Well, here in chapter 7, you've probably noticed, one of the reasons I picked this book, Hosea is a big object lesson through he and Gomer's relationship. But also throughout the book, there are multitude others. We've looked at two. We looked at a stubborn calf, and we looked at the morning fog already. But there's four more just here in chapter 7 alone. There's an overheated oven, a cake that is unturned, cake of bread, a silly dove, and a faulty bow. And God uses all of these different things to describe to the nation of Israel the problem that he has with them. We're not going to get all the way through the chapter, but we are going to try and get through the first two, the overheated oven and the cake that is unturned. So starting in verse 4 of Hosea chapter 7, if you will read with me. They are all adulterers, as an oven heated by the baker, who ceaseth from raising after he hath kneaded the dough until it be leavened. The day of our king, the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. He stretched out his hand with scorners. For they have made ready their heart like an oven. Whilst they lay in wait, their baker sleepeth all the night. In the morning it burneth as a flaming fire. They are all hot as an oven, and have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There is none among them that calleth unto me. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not. Yea, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knoweth not. The pride of Israel testifieth to his face, and they do not return to the Lord their God, nor seek him for all this. And then he's going to go on in the latter part of the chapter and talk about faulty bow and silly dove. Let's bow for prayer. Father, sometimes we come before you with mixed United States of America and the opportunities that we have grown up able to worship you freely. To be able to teach our children to love you with all their hearts, with all their soul, with all their might. And yet at the same time, we have to ask ourselves the question, how well have we done? Because we watch the moral fiber of our country as it continually deteriorates around us. We wonder how long it will be before those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice and those that have given so much to serve, have they lost the battle, so to speak, because our country is doomed to failure. When it becomes so sinful, you can no longer bless it. So we ask that you would encourage our hearts, that we would be salt, that we would be light, that we would be busy proclaiming the gospel. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. He's going to use these two pictures. The first one is the overheated oven. And you think about this, and we don't normally do this. But back then, if they were baking bread, there were pretty much two ways of doing it. If you were in a city and you were stable, you would build a clay oven. And they were fairly good size, pretty thick walls. You put a fire in the middle of it, kind of like an igloo. You put a fire in the middle of it, and you let it burn for quite a long time. And when it burns all the way out, the walls are really hot. Then you sweep out all the ash, and you stick your bread in the middle of it, and the heat of all the walls cooks it. Well, if you were a nomadic people, or if you were traveling somewhere, you obviously couldn't carry one of those big clay ovens with you, so you would heat rocks in the fire, and then you would cook the bread by laying it on a flat rock, and then after a little while you'd have to flip it over and cook the other side, or it would only get done on one side. And so what he's going to do is, in these first two, he's going to use these baker's analogies of someone who's making bread, and they're cooking it in this really, really hot oven, or they're cooking it on this flat rock, and they don't turn it over and get it done on the other side. Those are the two things he's going to discuss today. And what's interesting is he uses all of these little object lessons, I guess, if you will, to describe the spiritual, moral, and political condition of the nation of Israel. It's not real good. The picture we find here in verse 4 and verse 6, their passion for sin is like a fiery oven. Now, you see here in verse 4, it says, an oven heated by the baker. And you say, well, how hot is it? He kneads the dough, and he gets everything done. And it says he ceases from raising after he has kneaded the dough until it be leavened. It takes the leaven a little while for it to work. And you have to wait for the bread to rise before you can put it in there and bake it. Now, don't miss the fact that he's talking about leavened bread. When he is talking about righteousness, he always talks about unleavened bread. So even in the object lesson, he's saying, nation of Israel has made their bread, and they've been kneading it, and they have been working it, and they've put in their sin, and now they're waiting for their sin to fully rise and come. And the whole time this is happening, this oven's getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. I read a couple of different commentaries about this, and some of them disagree. Most of them seem to think that this is a situation where you would build a fire in the evening before you went to bed, and you just throw all kinds of wood in there. Let the flame shoot out the top, and it'd burn all night long. And then when you got up in the morning, you make your bread and stick it in the hot oven where the fire had burned down all night long, kind of like we stoke the fire before we go to bed to keep the house warm. And the picture here is their passion for sin is like this fiery oven. So hot that it burns all night long without any other attention, and it can bake bread in the morning. You say, well, what kind of sin? A lot of times we've been using the picture of adultery because of the object lesson of Hosea and Gomer. But let's be careful, because we're not just limited to a sexual sin here. In this situation, we see ambition, and we see revenge, and we see covetousness, and we see adultery, which can be a sexual thing, but God also uses the term to say, you have committed adultery in me because you have broken your promise and you have gone astray. So half of the time when he talks about adultery, he's using the picture of an unfaithful husband or wife, and half the time he's using the picture of somebody who is unfaithful because they've broken a covenant, whether it be the marriage covenant or whether it be any other practice we see in verses 5 and 7. For they have made ready their heart like an oven. Man, if you're going to build an oven of this kind, it's going to take some time. Right? I mean, you're going to build an igloo-looking thing out of mud. You've got to carefully craft it. You've got to put the thing together. After all, you want it to keep the heat, and you want it to retain the heat so that when it's time, it can bake the bread. And he's saying the same effort has gone into preparing their heart in these fiery passions, whether it be, well, I would like to be king, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute, or I want revenge, or I covet my neighbors, whatever. This is a situation in which they have taken great effort to prepare their heart like a baker would to prepare his oven. He starts off here, and he says, in the day of our king. That's an interesting phrase. Well, why are they talking about the day of our king? What special day does the king celebrate? And then it dawned on me. Well, kings celebrate a lot of special days, but usually 2 of them are the big ones. Their birthday and the anniversary of their coronation. And so I went and I looked, and we didn't have time this morning, but I looked up a couple of passages, and Pharaoh gathered all his people together and threw a big party for them. Nebuchadnezzar did the same thing for his princes. Over and over and over again, there are passages that talk about, and all the princes gathered together to make merry with the king to celebrate his birthday. And so here you have a situation where the king has probably been looking forward to this for some time. He can probably look all around the palace and see all the preparations that are going on here. And it continues to build and it continues to build. But look at verse 5. It says, in the day of our king, a day when he is expecting to celebrate, when he is expecting great things, it says the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. And it's so bad that he stretched out his hand with scorners. Now, let's look at it. Because the princes are the rulers, the trusted advisors, the court. These are the folks that are supposed to keep you out of trouble, right? I mean, these are the ones that give you advice so that the kingdom keeps going in the right direction. And instead, you have a situation where all of the trusted advisors that are supposed to be helping this king to make wise decisions, and instead they're getting them drunk. But do you see what it says? It just doesn't say drunk. It says what? Sick with wine. I mean, we're talking really, really, really drunk. We're talking alcohol poisoning drunk. We're talking sloppy, out of your head, out of your gourd, not making any kind of sense about anything, not capable of making a good decision, drunk. And while they're doing this, to give you an idea of how bad it is, look at the last phrase. He stretched out his hand with scorners. When you're drinking, what do you stretch your hand out for? They're toasting. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody get loaded. Sometimes you watch on movies and they're sitting there to help. You drink, and after a little while, when everybody's pretty well intoxicated, they just start toasting to every stupid thing under the sun. And do you notice what he says? Because he says, the princes, these are supposed to be the intelligent men, these are supposed to be the respected. And in describing how sick he is with drinking, it says, he stretched out his hand with, what's the word? Mockers or scorners. Depending upon your translation, same thing. What does Proverbs have to say about a mocker or a scorner? Very, very, very strong language God warns us about. And don't have anything to do with these folks. And yet here on one hand, they're called princes because that's their technical title. But God says, listen, their passions and their sin, like an oven that has just kept going and going and going, and it is roaring hot, have led the person that they're supposed to be counseling to be so so sick with wine that here they are in a drunken revelry. They don't care about their reputation. They're not making wise decisions. They're not acting like someone befitting this office. To hell! To stupid stuff. Could you imagine if they had Facebook back here? The pictures that would show up from this party. And people all over the kingdom would be like, that's the king? Hey, look at Prince so-and-so. I mean, completely irreverent. To false gods. To wealth. To who knows what. Because we're not even thinking straight anymore. But it gets worse. Look at verse 7. They are all hot as an oven, and have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There is none among them that calleth unto me. Now, they have made their heart ready like an oven. And middle of verse 6 says, while they what? Turn with me, if you will, and we'll come back to this passage. Go to 2 Kings chapter 15. We looked at this way back at the beginning of Hosea. 2 Kings chapter 15, until he is sick and acting like a fool, and the whole time that he is sick and acting like a fool, we have an ulterior motive in mind. In 2 Kings chapter 15, I want you to look at verse 10. And Shalom, the son of Jabesh, conspired against him. Conspired. They lie in wait like a heated oven. And smote him before the people and slew him and reigned in his stead. Was it on the king's birthday? Was it the anniversary of his coronation? Is he drunk as a skunk, toasting every stupid thing under the sun while somebody is standing there with a spear or a sword or a dagger? Just waiting for the opportunity to lay him out right there in front of everybody while it's stupid and drunk. Go down to verse 14. For Menahem, the son of Gadai, went up from Tirzah and came to Samaria, and smote Shalom, the son of Jabesh, in Samaria, and slew him and reigned in his stead. Go down to verse 25. But Pekah, the son of Remaliah, a captain of his, conspired against him and smote him in Samaria, in the palace of the king's house, with Argob and Uriah, and with him 50 men of the Gileadites. And he killed him and reigned in his stead. Public. Right out in front of everybody. We're going to kill him, and we're going to kill 50 people of the court. Go down to verse 30. And Hoshea, the son of Elah, made a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and smote him and slew him and reigned in his stead in the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. Hey gang, 5 kings in 13 years. 5 kings in 13 years. One guy lasted a month. A month! And somebody else comes in. They don't even wait for his birthday. He doesn't even get an anniversary of his coronation. Because like an oven, they have been sitting there seething and seething and seething. And there's a conspiracy. Yeah, let's take the king out. Oh, I could be king. Oh, wait a second. Why does he get to be king? Just wait. I'm going to do it to him too. And the guy that takes him out 2 years later, he's gone. The guy that takes him out 8 years later, he's gone. And 50 of his court. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what politics is like in Israel? Can you imagine what the court system and all leadership is like in Israel? Everybody's sitting around plotting who gets to be on the throne, and if you get to be on the throne, do you have any idea how long you're going to be there? 5 kings in 13 years? In 20 years, they assassinated 4 kings. Publicly assassinated 4 kings. Go with me, if you will, to Isaiah chapter 28. to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine. Go down to verse 7. But they also have erred through wine and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They're swallowed up with wine. They're out of the way through strong drink. They err in visions. They stumble in judgment. Now, go back to Hosea chapter 7. Do you see it? In the day of our king, the princes have made him sick with all his wine. In mockery, he stretches out his hand to toast with a bunch of scornful people. Israel's a mockery in their sin. And God says, you wonder why I'm coming in to judge you? I mean, my goodness, how much did you think was going to be allowed to happen? The whole time they are conniving selfishly for their own passion and their own ambition, and they're taking out kings and they're taking out courts, and they're ruining the leadership of the country. And he says, do you not understand that you're just like a baker's oven? I mean, the fire is raging in here. You come back in the morning and look, and it says, they have made ready their heart. But what's interesting is it says, the baker sleepeth all night, and in the morning, when the flame is supposed to be gone and you're supposed to clean out the ash and bake the dough, what does it say? It burns as a, not just some little hot coals that you would cook a marshmallow over. We're not talking you get down on your hands and knees and blow until you're blue and you almost pass out trying to get the fire back. What he's saying is, this has cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked so long that when the opportunity comes, King has been drunk all night long, making a fool out of himself. And come morning, he doesn't even know. He has been sleeping and hasn't been paying attention. Baker's been asleep. But the dough's been rising. And come morning, when they open up the oven, just a little opportunity oxygen flies in and whoosh! Right back to full fury. And they take him out. And the next guy sits on the throne. And you'd think about the second or third time that king gets killed, somebody wise up, right? I mean, wouldn't you sit there and go, tell you what, as long as I'm on the throne, I am not taking a sip of nothing that isn't water. You bring me milk, I'm having somebody check it to make sure it's not. Right? No. Do you realize that we are talking over a 20-year period? More wine and more wine and more wine. And the whole time you have folks over here seething like a hot oven, waiting for their opportunity, for ambition of any kind that's ready to flame. And take this guy out, or take this possession, or act in some way that is inappropriate with someone who is supposed to be a child of God. It's just not right. The judgment, the judicial system is involved in verse 7. They have devoured their judges. Devoured is a passionate term of destruction. You ever watch a lion devour something? It's not nice, right? And what he is saying is, because this passion has seethed in the person's heart until it's gotten hotter and hotter and hotter, as soon as the moment arrives, it's like a lion pouncing on his prey, just tearing it to pieces. You ever watched a video of, I forgot it, the little fish that love blood, piranhas? I had a missionary friend that, from Peru, was a friend of mine in high school, my junior and senior year. His parents were missionaries over there. He used to swim in the Amazon all the time. So I asked him one time, Danny, did you ever swim with piranhas? He said, yeah, I swim with piranhas all the time. I said, well, are they as vicious as they say? And he said, oh, they're as vicious as can be. He said, you just check yourself to make sure you're not bleeding or have any cuts. And you can jump in there and swim and they won't bother you. But he said, boy, you can take some kind of an animal and poke it a little bit so it's bleeding and chuck it in the water. And you've seen the videos. That's what he's describing here. Devouring, like a piranha that smells blood, or a shark that smells blood, or a lion getting on its prey. And they're not taking their time, and they care less about what happens to the individual. They are feeding their passion and their lust for sin, and they don't care who gets hurt in the process. That's a strong statement. The judges are the princes, the court, and the trusted officials. And so he says, you've devoured them. So who's making the important decisions in the kingdom? I mean, you've changed kings how many times, and you've killed off about half your court. What kind of fool is sitting on the bench now? Their passion is found in two statements. While they lie in wait and hot as an oven. Smoldering, blazing, steady burn. Have you ever touched something that you didn't know was hot? And the burn, long after, it feels like it's going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. That's the thought here. They're waiting for this opportunity, and the baker is asleep and he's unaware. Red hot, smoldering secret. At least they think it's secret. Because who's watching? Who's getting ready to hold them accountable? He goes on to the second one, half-baked bread in verses 8 through 10. Ephraim hath mixed himself among the people. Here's the picture. The cake that hasn't been turned. So it doesn't matter if the bread is cooked in the oven or on a hot rock. If it's cooked in the oven, it's only going to get done on the top side. You have to flip it over, the bottom side is going to be raw. And if it's cooked on a hot rock, only the part that's on the rock is going to get cooked. You would have to flip it over and cook the other side, or you're going to have half cooked and half raw. Question: if you leave it on one side and you're not paying attention to it, what happens to the one side? We're getting ready to have a Thanksgiving meal. Can I make a suggestion without offending anyone? Please, don't bring rolls that are burnt on one side and raw on the other. Why are you laughing? It's eating serious stuff now. You sit down to eat a roll and it's burnt on one side and raw on the other. What do you eat? I mean, the baker had an intention, right? He spent a lot of time mixing the ingredients and he needed it. He put work into it. And then he was patient. He waited for it to rise. And the leaven does its thing. And now it's fully done. He's already got the oven hot. And he sticks the bread in there and then he forgets about it. And all that work has accomplished what? Nothing. It's unusable on one side because it's burnt, and it's unusable on the other side because it's raw. I mean, I guess you could, make one of them thin crust pizzas if you cut off both sides and had a tiny little portion in the middle that maybe was done. Practice, look at how he describes this. They are mixed among the people. They mixed with the heathen. They made leagues with them, and they weren't supposed to. Remember when Josh was leading them, and the group comes in, and they act like they've come from a long way. They got their nasty clothes on, and moldy cheese, and their waterholic, and they look like they're just dead dog tired, like they've been traveling for months to get there. And Joshua thinks, well, they're not from around here, so we'll make a league with them. And then the next day, they roll up, and here they are. Please give me thanks. And God says to them, did I tell you not to make a league with the guy that was next door to you? He said, I told you not to make a league with them. It should have been an easy answer. All you had to do, Joshua, was obey. That's what they're doing. They got business deals with them. Be not unequally yoked. Believer and unbeliever in a business deal together. There's commerce. Hey, they got really nice stuff over here. Maybe it's spices. Maybe it's silk. Maybe it's... Our life sure would be better if we had Philistine or... And then when you're doing business with them and when you're making a league with them and you start all these official contracts, pretty soon, you go with your son so that he looks good while you're making this business deal. And this guy's got his family there, and your son starts making eyes at their daughter, or vice versa. And next thing you know, you have marriages. And then before long, you even get more intimate, because when families get together for Thanksgiving, whose God are they praying to bless the meal? Next thing you know, you're worshiping together. And God understates it in this verse, and he says, Ephraim hath mixed himself with the people. It's exactly what he warned them against in Exodus. It's exactly what Joshua warned them again when they were getting ready to go into the promised land. Over and over and over again, he said, don't do this. And what you end up with is Israel becomes this big hodgepodge of different religions, policies, traditions, families, etc. They're some bread, they're some dough, they're some burnt, and they're some raw. And God says, you put all this work into kneading, into working, into accomplish a useful loaf of bread, and when I look at you, you're worthless. Can't eat it, can't enjoy it. You become this hodgepodge of nastiness. Go to 1 Kings chapter 18. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 21. You're familiar with what's happening here. I like this verse and I hate this verse. I think if I'm Elijah, I would have said this, and when people sat around stone silent, I would have started slapping people. Look at what he says here in verse 21. And Elijah came unto all the people that gathered on Mount Carmel, and he said, how long halt ye between two opinions? Why ye burn on one side and raw on the other? If the Lord be God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. They just stood there. And you can see that stupid, silly look on their face, can't you? That's why I'm telling you, if I was Elijah, I'd be walking up to people, silly grin on your face. Seriously, panic. Are you going to worship God? Then do it wholeheartedly. Are you going to worship Baal? Then do it wholeheartedly. But stop this hodgepodge. Stop doing one thing here half-hearted and doing this thing half-hearted and doing this thing half-hearted. Jesus Christ said it differently in Revelation, didn't he? But because you are neither cold nor hot, you make me sick, and I want to just spew you out of my mouth. Who wants to eat burnt bread and raw bread? I mean, come on, flip the cake and cook it, and let's make something productive. Go to Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 5. I know you're probably looking at me going, what? There's a book in the Bible? We might have to study that one sometime. Listen, Zephaniah is trying to describe all the people of the nation of Israel. Listen carefully, you'll get it here in a second. He says, and them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by the Lord, and that swear by Malcolm. What is he saying? If you're going to describe the nation of Israel, you have to include the ones that worship on the housetop. Now, they'll do this big public thing, but it doesn't really affect their life much. And you have to include the ones that worship and swear by the Lord. Those are the ones who are kind of genuine in their relationship. And then you have to include the ones who are over here worshiping Malcolm. See, even in Zephaniah's time, you got this hodgepodge going on. And God says, I wish you would choose and go wholeheartedly after something. You're like an unturned cake. Go back to Hosea. Y'all are going to be eating lunch this afternoon thinking about raw bread. I'm sorry. foreigners are eating up the resources of the northern kingdom. We don't have time to turn over to 2 Kings chapter 15, verses 19 through 20. In the midst of this king's killing this king, and this king's killing this king, and we're wiping out the fort, one of the kings decides, hey, listen, I need to have a stable environment. And here comes the Assyrians. And so he gathers together 1,000 talents of silver. It says, he tells all of his mighty men they have to come up with 50 shekels. So basically, he taxes all the important people in the kingdom 50 shekels. He gathers together 1,000 talents of silver, and they wheel it out to Pekah. And they say, listen, you can have the 1,000 talents of silver, just leave me alone. He says, okay, so he turns around with his army and he goes back. We made it. Little does he realize that in the meantime, they're just getting stronger, and they come back only a few years later and wipe them out. He's the last king of the northern tribe. He thinks he has purchased safety, when actually what he has done is he has given this load of resources to someone who has spoiled them. And the next time he comes, how are you going to get together with 1,000 talents? It's not done yet. Not only have strangers devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not, yet gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knoweth it not. Now I know you can have, I had a friend in high school that was fully gray by the time we graduated from high school. We picked on the poor guy mercilessly. When he was in 7th grade, his hair started, no, 5th or 6th grade, his hair started turning gray. By 9th grade, he was pretty gray. And by the time we graduated, he looked like an old man. But normally, when gray hair starts, what's true? Are most gray-haired men playing football? Why not? Yeah, you hear a different crunch. I mean, it is what it is. What he's talking about here is he says, there's a gray hair that shows up here and there. We get ready for church in the morning, we're combing our hair and like, oh, honey, is this a gray hair? She's like, you got video. When did that happen? When you weren't paying attention is the point. And so you have this sign of age, and it's a sign of withering strength. You can't do what you used to do. It's a forerunner that death is coming. It's a reminder that everybody's days on this earth are limited. And what he's telling them is, by the way, while you weren't paying attention, not only did you give a lot of your resources to the enemy to make him stronger, to come back in a couple of years and really kick your end in, but while he's getting stronger, you're getting weaker. You got a lot of gray hair showing here. Wow. Then he finishes off that verse and he says, he didn't know that, no, he doesn't even realize that the kingdom is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And then there's a sad statement in verse 10 that ends these two analogies, and it says, the pride of Israel testifieth to his face. You say, what is that? We're not going to turn there, but if you would go back to chapter 5, verse 5, we studied that exact phrase. The pride of Israel testifies to his face. And in chapter 5, if you remember, Israel is in God's courtroom. And it's like God comes off the bench from being the judge and stands down there and becomes the witness, face to face, testifying against them of their sin and the reason why they deserve this judgment. The pride of Israel. But they refuse rebuke and correction, and they persist in sin. See what it says? They do not return. That's no repentance. Repentance is when you return to the Lord. They do not return to the Lord their God. And there's no relationship because it says, nor seek him for all this. Now, if we go back to chapter 6, verse 6, what does God say? This is what I require of you. You bring to me these sacrifices, and I require two things. Let's go back there. A couple of you are looking at me like, what is it? We studied this. For I desired mercy, loving loyalty, and not sacrifice. And the knowledge of God, it's a relationship more than the ritual of burnt offerings. So here he is in verse 7, and he says, but they did not return to me That's no repentance. Neither did they seek me. So in chapter 6, verse 6, he says, what I really long from you is a personal relationship of loving loyalty. And instead, you're still running around doing this hodgepodge. Like an overheated oven and a ham. Wait, right. Worthless. He's halfway through the chapter and he's not done with them. Because next week he goes right into, you're like a silly dove. Well, I've seen a lot of doves flying around and pigeons in the city, and I can't tell the difference between a dove and a silly dove, to be honest with you. But we'll look next week and see why he calls it a silly dove. The lesson? We are so good. We are so good at harboring bitterness and harboring ambition. We want revenge, and we long for covetousness where we want this or we want that somebody else has and we don't think they deserve it. And it festers and it festers and it festers like a heated oven, waiting for an opportunity when you open the door and let in a little oxygen and it can flame up and out. And God says, you want to be passionate about something, why aren't you passionate about me? Why aren't you a fiery oven about me? Why aren't you wholehearted, sold out about me? Let's bow for a word. Father, it is very easy to harbor something in our heart. We think we are so sneaky. We think we are so secret. Because we forget about your character. That you are omniscient. You know everything. And you see everything. And that you are holy and cannot tolerate sin. And so it has to be corrected or it has to be judged. And yet, rather than repent and return to you and to seek you with our whole heart, we would rather fester whatever passion or sin happens to be our favorite at the moment. When we should really be fostering